Mallory, and for this video, for the Hillels of Westchester's Happiness Campaign, I'm going to be talking about yoga and finding meaning in the actions that we're doing. Particularly for this video, we're going to be talking about the actions of actually practicing yoga poses and what's meaningful. For some people, looking at a person practicing yoga, it might just look like that person is doing some really interesting gymnastics-like movement, where in fact that isn't necessarily the case at all, even though it might sometimes look like it. There's also sometimes these classes that are called advanced classes or beginners classes, which I think can put a preconceived notion in somebody's mind that if a beginner class is easy and an advanced class is for people that have already got it down pat, where that isn't necessarily the case. I think any person, no matter how long they've been practicing yoga, can enter a beginner's class and find that it's actually quite challenging to go back to the essence of what are we doing and why are we doing this? Coming back to proper alignment, to proper breath, and so on and so on. So I'm going to go through a couple of different movements and talk about why it's important to notice the way the posture is in order to help bring meaning to all kinds of actions in life. So we'll start with downward facing dog, a really great pose that a lot of people will practice at some point if they enter a yoga class. Let's see if I can get my whole body into the frame. Yes, I think I can. Okay, so in downward facing dog, it's considered a resting pose. I'm going to try to send my hips back as far as I can and bring my heels down to the ground as much as I can and relax the head and the neck. To get into this posture, I need to make sure that my back is long and that my hamstrings are loose. If I'm not, and my shoulders are also open. If I'm not quite there yet, I might bend my knees a lot, really a lot, sending my belly towards my thighs and bringing my chin down, resting the head, and it's more or less at this point just a full bent knee pose. My heels are up and I'm just getting the expression of the pose from my back. Now, the reason why we might want to break down that pose and find meaning behind it is because it teaches us patience. That sometimes, when in life, you're not going to necessarily get your heels to the ground the first time you try something, and you're not going to necessarily feel that ease and flexibility through the shoulders and the hamstrings right away, and that slowly it'll take time, and that teaches us patience. It could take a very long time. There could be years before you ever fully feel that your leg is straight, and that's okay, because when you're learning the art of patience, let's say, it teaches you to take it slowly and to not get too caught up in what's happening, but rather where your practice has been evolving and not being attached to one way or the other if your heels ever touch the ground. So it's way more than just long back, hips backing up, and heels down, right? There's way more significance there that we can pull from it. Another pose that I want to show you is a balancing pose. So I'm going to stand right up here. We're going to do Warrior 3. So Warrior 3, I'm going to bring my hands to my heart. You might also see it with different variations with your hands back or in front of you. For today, I'm going to bring my hands to my heart, and I'm grounding my right foot totally down into the mat, and I'm going to lift my left knee up and start to bring that heel back. My left foot is flexed, it's really active, and I'm pushing my left heel back. I'm looking forward, I'm pressing my right big toe into the ground, nice and solid, and I'm going to just breathe here. At a certain point, I might lose balance and fall, in which case I'll come back up, and maybe I'm a little bit swervy here, but it's okay. I'm going to find my focus point, and I'm going to come right back into it and breathe. And maybe I fall again, maybe I can't really find the balance right away, but I'm doing my best. I'm using the muscles in my stomach, and I'm just going to stay here for as long as I can comfortably be here, and then come right back out of it, and then I would do the other side, but for this video I'll only do one. And that's one example of a balance pose, but why do we do balance poses in general? What meaning does it have? It teaches us resilience. It teaches us when there's something frustrating, when we fall, we just find our way back up and start right back from the beginning. Rooting ourselves down as comfortably as we can through our foot, having a little bit of a bend in that supportive leg, using our stomach muscles. There's so many things going on. Sometimes you just end up falling because something, happens. Life is like that too. You're balancing a lot of different things at all times. It can get hella frustrating, for lack of a better term, and it can get really hard. But if you always have that base to come back to, let's call it just your foot, right? If anyone doesn't know what a foot looks like, there it is. But yeah, if you have that base, that steady structure to know, like, I always have that to come back to, and I have my breath, of course, which is permanent, and not permanent, but which is consistent. I'm sorry I used the word permanent, which is consistent. You're able to reset yourself. But on the flip side, it does teach us the impermanence that exists within our day-to-day lives. We're not going to be holding that pose forever. We're not really intending to, but we know that we are never going to. It's not intended that way. That's not the way life works. So if something is going on that's really great happening in your life, maybe you're celebrating or having a big festive occasion, that's not permanent, and neither is a loss. If you experience some kind of failure or shortcoming, it's not going to last too long either, because that's just the nature of the world. So those are two different poses that we can find meaning in our actions from and translate what's happening on the yoga mat into the world beyond. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or want to comment, please do. And yeah, namaste. Bye.